Hoboken, New Jersey. A man stands on a street, watching a woman on the opposite side buy flowers. He walks purposefully across the street in front of traffic and rests a pen on its end on top of a mailbox. A bicyclist races down the street. The man passes the woman he'd been watching. A taxi drives by and sets off a chain reaction, splashing the pen over so that a man goes to get it, getting in the bicyclist's path and knocking him into a fruit stand. The woman looks at the fruit. So does the driver of the bus coming down the street. The light turns red, but he doesn't notice. The woman steps in front of the bus. The man walks away. At Fringe HQ on the other side, Olivia reports for work, seeming to believe she's Folivia. Charlie welcomes her back, and she remembers that he owes her $70. Broyles and Walter Nate watch. Broyles thinks putting an imposter on his team is too big a risk. Walter Nate says over time, Olivia will reach a plateau and her identity will be fixed. Walter Nate explains what they have to gain. Olivia can move between worlds without risk. They want to experiment on her, with her cooperation. And if her new identity doesn't hold, then she will no longer be necessary, Walter Nate says. Charlie briefs the team on the seemingly random bus accident yesterday and the one today that happened in the exact same way. Agent Lincoln Lee is out of his burn chamber for 8 hours, leading the investigation. Olivia talks to the shaken bus driver. Lee tests for environmental degradation and finds none. He sees the pen. They haven't seen one since preschool. They figure out the pen started a chain reaction. Randomly, Olivia looks across the street and sees Peter, but then he's gone. Olivia comes home to Folivia's boyfriend Frank. There's a report on the TV about an outbreak of smallpox in Texas, which is his field of medicine. She tells him about seeing a face in the field. She mentions the secretary's son. He tries to tell her to take it easy and to tell Broyles. Back at Fringe HQ, Charlie finds no links between the victims. Lee tells Charlie he would have known Olivia was an imposter. He tells Lee what Olivia was saying during her breakdown about them trying to convince her she was someone else. Lee thinks that sounds nuts. He sees a ballpoint pen in the photo of the first accident. Astrid calculates it as impossible for someone to use a ballpoint pen to set off a chain of events that kills someone, twice. Then she sees that it happened again. They go to the scene of the latest bus accident. At the scene, the victim is alive. Olivia looks around and sees a ballpoint pen nearby. She announces it's not over. Down the street, a man puts in earbuds and steps into the street, into the path of an oncoming ambulance. Olivia sees the odd-looking man on a footbridge and races toward him. He throws a nearby bike over the side of the bridge. She reaches him, telling him to put his hands on his head. He waits, then leaps over the side, onto the roof of a van that happens to be passing by and has slowed to avoid the bike he threw in the street. Depth of defense, hospital. Lee gets back in his burn chamber. He tells Olivia to focus on why he's targeting the victims. He's cutting the burn thing close, and his face starts bubbling as he gets back in. The odd man gets home to a nervous young woman, telling him they have been calling. She's his sister Maddie. We learn he's Milo. At the sister's house, they tell her about the 3 people he's killed. Charlie goes to check out his room. Olivia talks about siblings with his sister, saying her own died a few years ago. It leads her to a weird place. Olivia tries to tell her Milo is dangerous now. She gives Olivia a goodbye note he left, with a way to contact him. Outside, Charlie wonders if Milo is 10 steps ahead of them, expecting them to go to the hotel. They finally opt to go there. Milo expects them there, then expects to see Olivia crushed with cinder blocks. He envisions things backwards, with her running under a sign at 4 p.m. Olivia and Charlie pull up. Milo watches on the street. They walk toward him. He runs. The time changes to 4 p.m. They race after him just like he expected. They run down an alley and split up, which he thinks will lead to an air alert going out, and Olivia running into a pallet of cinder blocks. DOD HQ. The nerdy Dr. Brandon gets a visit from Walter Nate. He has some of Peter's clothes there in the hope it'll spark Olivia to link to the other side. Walter 8 suggests a sensory deprivation tank for his experiment. Olivia watches Frank, packed to go, help with the smallpox outbreak and reassures him to go. Olivia sees Peter standing in her bedroom. He tells her she didn't die because she didn't know the protocol and didn't stop for oxygen.